Okay, moss poles. I'm going to cut this to the size that I need, and then we're going to put the moss in it and zip tie it up, and it will be ready to go into a plant. So here we go. Now some of mine, this one's just going to be a circular one. Some of mine have the plastic backing, and what that does is use less hardware cloth, but also it helps hold moisture in, so you're not having to water your moss pole so much. And if you haven't seen some of my other videos, plants, taking care of plants is fairly new to me. I have had plants in the past, but honestly haven't had the time to keep up with them, monitor them, and things like that. But now that I'm home taking care of my mom, there aren't a lot of things that I can do hobby-wise that I can work on, stop, take care of her, work on, stop and start. She's calling me to come in there, or it's time to move her, or it's time to eat, or she's run out of water, or things like that. This way I can stop what I'm doing right now and come back to it later, and it's going to be okay. I do have other hobbies, but they are such that I can't stop. In other words, I do tumblers. Once you are started on that epoxy, you cannot stop, or it's going to set up on you, and then you gotta go from there. But my hardware cloth is bumping into the tripod. Something else I do is the 3D printing, but again, I get it all set up. You got the right filament in, you got your program going, and you need to stop and go take care of that. Then you come back. I have to remind myself where I was on the process and get going. Now that one is easier to start and stop, but I also make macrame things. I do plant holders, hat holders, and things like that. But with macrame, as you're doing your pattern, you can't stop your pattern and then come back and know where you were. Where was I on my knot process? Things like that. So if I do macrame, I've got to have some time, or I have to count back and figure out where I was in the process. But again, it can be done, but it's just a lot harder. Plants are easier. They can wait, and you can water real quick and then come back. So we're going to, I know I should know the process by now as far as how many squares it is to make the size that I need, but I'm just not that efficient. So I think I will count this one though, just to see. And we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 squares. So I will count that out and we'll get going. 16, 17, 18, 19. And we'll just clip all the way up. This one is a little precarious because it's so long and a little more wiry than the plastic coated. And you're just going to keep clipping all the way up. And roll it into a cylinder, zip tie it, actually roll it up into a cylinder, put your moss in, and then zip tie it. So we will do that quickly, well, as quickly as we can here. And then we'll roll it up. My moss is already pre-soaked, so that will be easy. And at some point I will go over with you my chunky mix for my plants. I was making different types of mixes, but my orchids, I just use an orchid bark mix that's got a little bit of perlite in it. I'm new to orchids and Hoyas, but I'm learning along the way. YouTube is my friend. I can turn YouTube on and do dishes or fold laundry, things like that. So I've been learning a lot about those, and I really love Hoyas. And when I say I'm new to orchids, I mean like I just started buying them on clearance at Lowe's, because I was watching some videos and thought, wow, that doesn't sound terribly hard. Now, mine are rescues, so we shall see what happens. And Hoyas are easy, and I didn't realize how easy they were. And they're pretty interesting. I like the way that they climb or trellis. You put them on a trellis. But like I said earlier on my other video, I have one that's making aerial roots, which, I mean, I didn't know they made aerial roots. I thought they just grew the long vine like a mandula. Not a mandula. I'll think of the name of it in a minute. It's a real pretty flowering bush. Lord, I don't know. There goes my brain. Anyway, it has aerial roots, so we're gonna go with it and put it. I'm gonna put it on a one of those small moss poles that I showed you earlier. Please wear some kind of safety goggles, and I usually, because these little pieces are flying, but I am going to cut them all off. These little pieces that are sticking out. Whoopsie. I usually wear gloves. Again, that's new for me because I like to get my hands in the dirt. But these are flying, so please wear safety goggles. I used to do all this upstairs in my office / craft room. So this would not have worked well with all these little pieces flying everywhere. I know, fast forward, sorry. This is a little tedious, but when I don't do this, it's inevitable. I'm gonna poke myself with one of these little pieces that are sticking out. Somebody that I learned a lot from, or have been learning a lot from, is Wildfern on YouTube. She's got some great stuff. And there is another, she's in Canada, and then there's another young lady who is in England somewhere, and I'll think of her channel name in a minute. Jungle something. But both of them have hundreds of plants in their home. Just hobbyists, but have learned along the way. The girl in England, her name is Claire, and I'll have to look up her name again, and I'll add it to this video in the comments. Okay, I think I have all of the loose ends chopped off. So now we will get our moss out, and you want to fill it, but I don't like to pack mine really tight because I want those roots to be able to get in there. And if I pre-make them, now monstera roots, arrowroots are thicker and they don't have any trouble getting in there, but things like the pothos arrowroots are a little smaller, and so I like to make space for them to be able to get in there. So let's put our wire cutters up. Let's get our moss out. And we're going to fill up our wire. And again, we're going to leave some space at the bottom to go into the pot. We're going to leave some space at the top for our watering cup or bottle to go in. I'm just going to lay it out like this. And then I'm going to see how much more I need to put in there. Shape it a little bit. We're going to need a little bit more in there. This came in bricks, vacuum sealed, so I soaked it and it soaks up all the water, and then you kind of pull it apart. And then I also use some that comes just in a bag. It's dry, but it's not vacuum packed like this other that I got this last time. All right, let's see if that works. I think that's gonna work. So I don't have it packed, but it's in there kind of firm. You don't want a lot of air in there because then it's just gonna dry out. So you do want you want it in there firm, like I was saying, but not super packed. Because, like I said, the more air, the drier it's going to get quicker. All right, I think that's good. And now for the zip ties. I can get into the package. I don't want to cut it, but it won't show me the edges. There we go. All right. Now these are just small little zip ties. You don't need them to be real big. And I usually start at the bottom. Put one at the bottom and one on the top so that it kind of holds it closed for me. And then we'll put one at the top. And then we'll fill in as we go down. Okay, and then I'll put one in the middle. I used to count and find the exact middle, but does it really matter? No. Just as long as it's secure and there's not a lot of gaps along the way. So there's the middle. And then I kind of do one in the middle of those. And so on. So my greenhouse, I got this free, this potting bench. A guy was cleaning out his storage and had this in there, and we went and picked it up. And then I'm looking for a free little dresser, which somebody has one on Facebook that I'd like to go get, but my husband has the truck, so I'm at his mercy when it comes to things like that. So with the dresser, I'm going to put it along this longer wall, and I'm going to take the bottom drawers out, bottom two drawers, and take out the support that's between them, and that'll be an area where I can put a bin in there, but yet have a cute table to work on. Okay, I think I'll put one more here and here, just for a little extra closure there, and then that should be good. So there you go, one moss pole done. And then I'll show you the pot that I'm planning on putting this into. There we go. Now I'll clip all of these off, so we don't need those sticking out, and then I'll turn them around to where the little square is on the inside, because I don't need any extra things sticking out for me to scrape my fingers on, because I'm pretty accident prone with stuff like that. I'm surprised I didn't cut myself open using the hardware cloth. Okay, so there we go, one moss pole, all done. So I will now show you the pot that I plan to put this in. This beauty. So this was a rescue at Lowe's. Huge leaves, huge. And I just had so many new ones, but as you can see, it's got lots of aerial roots coming out. So I thought it would be pretty to grow on the moss pole and let it just climb up the moss pole. So this part will go down into the pot. Ooh, I just got my hand stuck in there. Okay. Let's see. We'll put it right back here. Ordinarily, I would put this in before potting, but I had to get this little booger in the dirt when I got it home. So this is how we're doing it. This is how we do it. Alright. I think that's going to be good, because I need to put more dirt in here anyway. I just did enough to get it in in a pot. There we go. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna attach this onto the moss pole and let it live its best life, hopefully. So this will be one that we will try to keep updated for you to see how it goes. A lot of people use different things to attach. I use this Velcro, soft Velcro pieces to hold mine on the moss pole. No specific size, just enough to go around the stem and through the pole and not strangle the plant. So and you want to put the soft part next to the plant. Soft part, fuzzy part, however you wish to call it. Okay, here goes our first bit on here. It doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. All right, and we'll put another bit on there here so that it goes up the right way, keeping it straight. And then hopefully we'll get some new growth on here. And she'll just keep on growing. And it's going to look funny for a while because these were trailing down, so the leaves were, you know, looking for the sun. So in other words, it was growing the other way. So eventually they will look for the sun and their little leaves will turn over. Let's put this other one on right next to it. These are actually a little long. And I guess I could have wrapped them in the same one, but I did not. And this one already has an aerial root. I don't know if you can see it, but right here. So I'm going to try to put that into the moss and encourage it to go ahead and grow into the moss. There we go. And I will keep this moss wet. It'll be easier to keep the moss wet during the winter, but in the summertime you almost always have to water the moss every day because it gets so hot here in Texas. I do believe I'm going to leave this trailing. I'm going to leave that one trailing over there, but these two I'm going to encourage to grow up the moss pole. So there we are. That's going to be pretty. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry it was so long, but hope you learned something and enjoyed the ride. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.